ever wanted to run a super successful business, have a great family, help a lot of people, maybe even run an Ironman 4 times? These are all very ambitious things. And I have none other than Robert Klinkenbeard on today's episode, CEO of the Radix Group and author of Ironman Mindset for Entrepreneurs. He's going to be sharing all about his story, how successful he was able to train for a marathon and build a 20 plus $1 million business, along with helping entrepreneurs all around the world. I'm going to bring him up right after we thank our sponsor. Every business needs a book, including yours. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com today to learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit-generating business book in 8 weeks. Once again, that's freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Robert Klinkenbeard. Robert, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling absolutely amazing right now.
I am so excited to hear that for you because that is a much better way than feeling bad like I would say most of the world is. So tell us, what's your secret?
Wow, that's a big question. What's my secret? I've always been a positive person, and I always just look at all the good things in life. So, whatever's going on, I always look for the positive in it. So that's probably the first thing right there.
Has that always been your mindset, or did it develop, and is that what you turned into the Ironman mindset for entrepreneurs?
I think growing up, I grew up in Edinburgh, in Scotland, and there's, I suppose, an attitude across there where there's a little bit of doom and gloom. I think maybe that's partly the weather, but I think I was exposed to that entrepreneur mindset, that Ironman mindset when I moved across to the States back in '99. And I think from there, getting into business and going through those challenges has always made me feel as though what's the positive of things? What can we do to better ourselves every single day? So I think, yeah, over the last probably 20 years since I've been in the States, it's definitely developed over time.
And you said 1999 you moved here?
Correct.
How long were you in Scotland for?
I probably in Scotland for 25 years. Um, and yeah, I've moved in '99. I just got fed up with weather, lack of opportunities. Just there was no real positive things going on over there. I mean, people are
It's
great.
beautiful from what
Yeah,
I've seen.
it's green. It's a lot of good things. Some great golf, some great whiskey across there. But I just felt as though I had a lot more to offer in life, and so yeah, I made that big move.
Now, was this the time you decided I want to run an Ironman, or was this after once you got here?
It was after I moved there. I was a big, I used to play a lot of soccer growing up, a lot of rugby as well. And I kept on, when I first moved across to the States, I kept on that. But, unfortunately, you get a little bit older and my body started to wear down a little bit. So I started then to move into some running, doing some triathlon stuff.
Excellent, excellent. So tell us how you took these skills and abilities and translated it into business because you're clearly successful personally with and very athletic, but also for business. I mean, you've accomplished what very few, I would say, uh, I'd say a lot of people strive to, but very few have achieved themselves. So how are you so successful in both, and what are the correlations there?
Yeah, I certainly didn't realize I had some of those talents. I mean, I think they have developed through time, but when I first started my business back in 2001, I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll get to $1 million, maybe break to 2 million. And I think I've learned a lot of things along the way. I've made a huge amount of mistakes, either people hires or just strategic
What's
mistakes
the
I've made.
biggest one that comes to mind? What's the biggest mistake you've made?
Probably hiring the wrong people,
Mm.
and it's ended up affecting the culture in my business, and I didn't realize that. And then I made the secondary mistake on top of that by not getting rid of them quickly enough because they were just so divisive to my culture, and I was playing a blind eye to it. And I almost felt as though it was going to be I kept them there because I felt I was looking at the challenge and trying to replace them. And that was a wrong thing to do because once I let them go, then I felt as though the rest of my team stepped up and filled that void. And they kept saying to me, why didn't you get rid of that person 6 months ago, a year ago? So I learned it was a huge mistake I made, and I certainly learned from it quickly.
So it sounds like you're a proponent for the hire slow, fire fast.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
So I
can
think
relate
just
to that also. I've unfortunately had to let people go and stuff, and I personally think one of my weaknesses, for lack of a better word, and I'm working on it, is I care, and you don't want to fire them. It's like, I actually care about them. It's not just a number to me, but at the same time, it's like when you go 3 4 weeks without a response, it's like, do you think this is your company? Are you on vacation? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I even wrote this in my book that if you care, you give them more and more rope, but all they seem to do is keep, no matter how much you give them, they just keep wanting to hang themselves with it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've experienced that many, many times. And I think one of the things that changed in my mind was, yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I care about my employees and you want to do the right thing. But then when you actually look at the effect it's having on your other employees and their families, then it's like, a bigger proportion of the company. They say that some of the biggest statistics around people leaving the company are either through bad bosses or bad fellow employees. So
Mm.
that's what changed a little bit in my mind, where I thought, yeah, I care about this person, but I also have to make sure I'm taking care of everybody else in the company.
Yeah. Uh, what's that analogy? One bad apple spoils the whole bunch.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, very much so.
Well,
Very much so.
appreciate that insight. So you're saying you made a lot of mistakes, but I also heard, and I'm putting the timeline together here. You started your business in 2001. That is 2 years after you came here, and I want to know more about not only you came here. You said more opportunity, but you didn't go down the job route. And I also want to say we started around the same time. I was 2002.
Cool. No, that's great. Yeah, when I first came across here, yes, I had a regular job for the first 6 to 9 months, really just to try and find my feet. I was actually out in Scottsdale, Arizona, and the backstory for me to moving to the States is that when I came across on vacation back in '98. Came in December of '98. It was beautiful weather during the winter, and I was doing all these mountain biking. I was doing skydiving. I was going up north Arizona. I was doing some skiing, snowboarding, and I thought, wow, this is a wonderful place to be. And then I started looking around and how people lived out there. I had beautiful houses. There was all these beautiful, fancy cars out there, and I said to myself, well, what am I doing wrong? There's something going on here. So I started just asking more questions, and realized that a lot of people out in Arizona, yes, it was a second and third houses, but they either owned businesses, so they're all entrepreneurs, or maybe they work for some really high level companies. So I thought, well, what am I doing wrong in my life? And when I got back to Scotland back in December, January, it was looking at this cold, wet, wintry night, and I was thinking, you know what, life is way too short. So yeah, then spent the next 5 or 6 months and basically selling my house, selling my car, pretty much all my goods, and I moved across in May of '99. And I thought, you know what, I want to become either a successful business executive or an entrepreneur, and that's the path I took when I moved across here.
Is it surreal to look back now and go, I am that success that I wanted to be 20 years ago?
It is surreal, especially when I mean, I've got a lot of great friends back home, and yes, they're having a good life, but they're living in the same neighborhood, they're maybe traveling, they're maybe doing some cool things. So I just feel as though the lifestyle I've brought for myself and now my family, I'm just so humbled, so thankful for making that leap.
Yeah, it's not a small leap, and congrats on your success and continued success because it's kind of a tricky question or interesting question because it's like, is it surreal to see the success you are? Because I would also, uh, I'll ask you, do you feel you're still not done and you're on your way?
Very much so. I'm just such a driven person, and I think because of the risks and the people I've met and who I surround myself now, I always feel as though I'm trying to better myself. That could be as simple as reading a book or listening to a podcast, every single day, but always trying to just sharpen the saw. And how can I again better myself or push myself to the limits? And that's I'll get into it in a minute, but that's I think what also drove me towards starting to do my triathlon journey, going to eventually do an Ironman. It's just really trying to push myself. I've always felt as though I got into that comfort zone. I said, you know what, I'm better than this. What can I do to really push myself out of that comfort zone and into that fear zone?
So you wanted to push yourself into the fear zone.
Very much so. I, I,
Please
I feel
elaborate
as
on
though
that because most people I know are trying to not be fearful and get away from it.
and I can understand that, and I appreciate that. That's they're obviously on their understanding. I have a slightly different view in terms of only good things happen on the other side of fear, meaning that something good will typically come out of that. Maybe you're successful by pushing yourself into that fear zone, whatever that looks like, or perhaps if you do fall down, then pick yourself back up, learn from what happened, and try again. It might take you multiple attempts to get to where you're going, but unless you try, then you're not going to get anywhere.
I agree 100%. And it sounds to me like in your mind, you're reframing the fear zone as outside of your comfort zone.
Very much so.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. So I appreciate you sharing a little bit about your background, but I want to ask you about your company, the Radix Group. What do you specialize in, and who are you looking to help?
So, after I sold my business in 2016, I really struggled to figure out what I wanted to do next. I almost felt I went through a period of 6 months where I just thought, well, my identity has been taken away from me from owning my business so long. I had all these employees, and I felt, that my ego kicked in. I felt as though I was the go-to person. So it took me a while to really establish what I wanted to do next. So I moved into the coaching world where I said, if I've got all this experience and all these mistakes I've made, uh, what I'd love to be able to share that to other people, other business owners, other executives, to hopefully make less mistakes than I did. And so that's what I went into doing. Became a certified scaling up coach. So I got all the proper certifications. But I think what I brought to the table was just my past experience in running my large business, opening multiple branches, multiple states, and then just some of the disciplines involved in doing my soccer, doing my rugby, playing the team sports, going into the Ironman stuff. I thought, well, there's a lot to offer here, something a little bit unique that I can offer to businesses. So I go on and offer coaching, business coaching services to clients across the US, the Canada, UK. I have some clients down in Asia. And it's just being able to great to be able to help them. And I feel as though I think sometimes owners or CEOs feel as though they're on an island where they have all these pressures on them and they don't necessarily have anywhere to go. A lot of their friends or family don't necessarily know what they're going through. So by having somebody they can bounce off their challenges, their ideas, some of their fears, then I feel as though I'm helping them make a positive impact in their life.
Oh, I don't disagree for 1 second because I can relate to being the entrepreneur, and it's like people going, well, what do you really do? It's like there's so few of us that, short of doing the show or a mastermind or whatever. And I hire coaches and I've done coaching myself, and it's two different. It's nice when someone can take care of you, but it's absolutely one of the funnest things in the world, I think, to be able to say, okay, here's where you're at. Here's all the things that are going to happen. Like you're the GPS for them going down the road.
Yeah, very much
Like
so.
swerve here, speed up, slow down, brake. Okay, accelerate. Now do a 360, go over the bridge. You know what I mean? They're still driving, but they don't have to get ran off the road 17 times.
Yeah, that's so true. Especially, we've all experienced our challenges over the last 2 years with COVID and all these things that have been thrown at us, which we've never experienced before. So, during that initial part of 2020, I was always every single day I was on the phone 8, 10 hours a day, just trying to help those business owners, trying to navigate through all those challenges. So it's just nice to have somebody like that on your side, on your team.
I agree. It's I'm glad you're doing it. It's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show because I think you're not only successful and you've done your books and the Iron Man and all these things, but you're also paying it forward and helping other people because there's people who can. I mean, you probably don't need to work, best I can tell, but you still want to help people, and that's just different, and I like that. So thank you.
Yeah, I
So
appreciate
if
that.
you have all this going in your favor, why do a book?
Well, it's always been in my bucket list. My father has actually written 4 or 5 books over the years, and it was something I was really proud of. And I just felt as though, again, I was going through this learning phase after I sold my business, and I thought, well, what can I do again to share my story, to make an impact on other people? And again, if I just make a positive impact on a handful of people, then I feel as though I've done my job. So I just came up with this really simple book, 100-page book, and again, it just almost tells the story of here I am, this guy from Scotland who wasn't necessarily particularly good at anything, but when you listed off some of my achievements at the beginning of the show, I've actually, I'm proud of being able to go through those challenges. And if I can inspire people to again get from where they are now to doing something great in the future, whether it be in business, whether it be some type of a sporting achievement, then that means a lot to me.
I love that you're heart centric, and it sounds like that was one of the main reasons you decided to publish your book, and I'm glad you did. How has your book helped your business since launching it?
Very much so. I've now had speaking engagements in Europe and across the world, and again, it's allowed me an audience to be able to share my story, but obviously, some help with some of my coaching engagements. So it's helped a lot. It's almost like a fancy business card, which I now use, but to be able to speak in Barcelona and Madrid and Germany, Sri Lanka, Australia, I think it's just been something I'm really proud of. And obviously some nice benefits with some of my family back home, just being really proud of now my story to share.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing for people to do. It's why I've been helping people publish books the last decade. And the comment you made about the business cards, statistically, business cards will have about a 2-day shelf life where books have a 2-year shelf. I mean, people are
Right.
pitching these. It's not junk mail. And it's one of the funnest things in the world to just, hand it to someone or they buy it depending on the situation. And now you're also not having to take 3 to 5, 6, 7 hours selling them. They read the book. If they're not interested at that point, you either wrote it horrible or they were just the wrong fit.
Yeah, and I think it also gives you a little bit of credibility as well. I mean, anybody can hand out business cards at a business event. I mean, been to some events, and that's all people were doing, business cards. And whereas, it gives you that a little bit of credibility that you've taken the time and effort because as you know yourself, it takes a lot of time to put that thought into writing a book, getting it onto paper, going through all the different editing. So it's a journey, but it's really a worthwhile journey at the end of the day.
That is 100% accurate, but also the understatement of the century. Yeah, there's a fair amount of work, but like you're talking about, when you can put in someone's hand like that, I mean, there's no better way to share your expertise, get the message out there. They can pass it along, and Let's talk about your success story. Since you've launched the book and you've launched the coaching and all these different things, who would you say has been your biggest success story?
I mean, I've had some really big clients now who are now currently using my coaching engagements, anywhere from 30 to $200 million companies. And so to be able to go into those companies, help them with their strategic planning. And I think one of the biggest things they enjoy about me coming in is, the accent helps a little bit. But again, just that Ironman mindset piece where I am holding them accountable. I am challenging them every single month and how they're progressing the business. That's one of the things I talk about in my book is that, there's a lot of similarities between preparing and training for an Ironman versus a business where, you have some type of a training plan or a roadmap in your business. And every single day, it's not just a case of immediately jumping into your inbox or dealing with the complaints that come into your business. You're looking at some type of a plan, strategic plan, training plan to figure out, well, this is what I need to do today. Here's some of the priorities. Here's some of the things I need to delegate. Here's some of the things I need to prepare for the day for meetings and hold my team accountable as well. So yeah, it's something I really enjoy working with some of these bigger clients and just helping them through the challenges. Because even though they are a huge company, I mean, they're all facing similar challenges, even to the $500,000 businesses where it's typically around, the people challenge, which is probably one of the biggest ones these days. Lack of cash, that fuel to really grow the business. Maybe they have a decent strategy, but they don't necessarily have the people to execute in that plan. So, I come in as that coach that hold them accountable, and they really appreciate that.
Let me ask you about strategy. Let me ask you about strategy versus team, because you said something there that I just picked up on. And there's a lot of people that say, I need to build my team, I need to build my team, I need to build my team. And there's other people that are like, we need to have the best strategy. Everything's got to be perfect before we can execute. We got to have the strategy that's going to give us the winning, whatever in their mind it is. What's your take on strategy versus team? Are they two independent things? Should you focus on one or the other first, or do you see them as one holistic approach?
One holistic approach in that, I've been doing some strategic planning recently, so it's really fresh in my mind. But the owners, the founders need to come in with the vision. Where do they want the company to go, whether it be in a year, 3 years, 10 years? So come in, where's the company going? But then bring in your core team, your management team, your leadership team, and to help develop that strategic plan. Do something like a SWOT analysis. There's some different exercises I bring into that strategic planning. So to frame out some of the, maybe some light bulb moments might come on during that initial planning. It might be a new product, might be a new service, maybe there's some opportunities with some acquisitions. And then if you have that team there building that strategy, then start to delegate it out to the team. Start to assign who's going to be responsible for the different aspects of that team, whether you're assigning them some type of a quarterly ROC or you're using maybe OKRs, the objective key results. But if you start to get the team aligned on where you're going and start delegating out to your team and to start taking ownership of it, then it's just going to move that whole company along really successfully.
I appreciate you breaking that down, because it sounds like the strategy is real hard to execute without the right team. And if you don't have a strategy, you don't really have anything for your team to do or a direction to go in.
Very much so. Very much so. And a great example, I just helped this one company out of Phoenix. They were doing about 50 million, not really making a great deal of profit. And the owner brought in his team. We came up with an unbelievable strategy, and we gave some incentives for that alignment through the team. And here they are 4 years later. They've grown by 50%. They just went through a really successful exit. And it's all because the team were 100% aligned on where the company was going. The owner is just like so thankful, and because they were just spinning their wheels, even though they're a big company, they were just not really doing a great deal. But through that alignment, it just made a huge difference.
Wow, that's impressive. What was the profit margin before?
Maybe sitting about 3-4%, and they ended up with 16-17%.
It's quite a jump.
Yeah, 75 million top revenue.
So I want to just go a little bit further with that because I don't think people realize. Let me rephrase that. There's a lot of smart people listening to this. I don't want to downplay anything, but I think people can realize even more than they already do. That was good. 3-4% to 14, 15, 16, you're talking $25 million difference. From an investment standpoint of having someone who can help you, I'm just going out on a limb and saying, regardless of whatever your investment is, it's probably less than that, and they're probably making significantly more. Is that fair to say?
Oh, 100%. I can't emphasize that enough. The impact that coaches in general make on businesses can make a huge difference. Yeah, a lot of people just look about, oh, the coach is going to cost me this, almost like a full-time person. But when you look at the exit or the gains they make, that return on investment in 3, 5 years, 10 years, it is significant.
It's always interesting to me because I'm going to say this in jest, but the reality is, if they were in, any business, if they were in business 3 to 5 years prior and had that, minimal growth, you could argue the coach is more important than the CEO.
I agree, because a lot of the time I find that the CEOs who got into that position, this is all new territory for them. They've not necessarily had that experience before. They've maybe not necessarily luck, but they've just grown the business and they've never been through that challenge before. So they're sitting out there. They're obviously showing a good face because they're leading the company, but they've never taken the company to that type of level before. So they're somewhat lost. They're somewhat maybe even unhappy because they're spending all this time at work away from their family, and they're trying to lead the company. And sometimes they're just, their heads are down. They don't really know what direction to go. So, that's typically what I see when I go into companies. They're almost at that point where they're so stressed or ready to happy.
Yeah, I mean, you can be unhappy. It can get lonely. It can get boring. List off another 100 verbs or adjectives, words in general that, there's a QuickBooks commercial I'll never forget. I don't know if it was 10 years ago, 20, whenever, but it was like they're showing a business owner and they're going in 101 different places, and it's like the phone, annoying when it rings, frustrating when it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Simple as that.
And I mean, I don't wish that for anyone. I don't think anyone gets in business to have more overwhelmed, get frustrated, and be making less than you should for killing yourself. But I'm glad you're able to help, and I'm glad that's a great success story. So thank you for sharing that. And for anyone listening, I make jokes and I expand on stuff to make the point. And yeah, of course, I'm more dramatic with it. It's a freaking show. Chill out. But I really want you to receive that and hear that, because it really does pain me seeing people, because a lot of people come to me for coaching and with publishing, and it's like, we have to address some of this stuff. You can't focus and get the book done and be creative and help more people and make an impact and improve your messaging if you're going in 451 different areas. So if you're struggling with anything right now, just think about it. And what would you suggest, Robert? If someone's struggling with it right now, what would you suggest the first couple things they do should be? What do you think the first couple of things they should do be? Whatever. You guys are smart.
I think throwing down your ideas on paper or whiteboard, and this is a great time of year to rethink where you're going. What's your vision or your plan for 2022? Start off with that, and try and dial it into maybe three, four, five ideas. What are some of the things you need to be working on? Everything else just put to the side and maybe even put on in your parking lot or something. But what are some of the 3 to 5 things that you need to focus on next year? And make sure that also includes your personal life. Make sure that also includes your family as well. You've got to make sure you have that balance. Every single day, I look at my planner and I'll say, okay, what are some of my personal goals or fitness goals? What are some of my business or wealth goals? And then what's some of my relationship goals? So I'm trying to set something every single day. But this is a great time to rethink that, maybe go into a quiet space and have some reflection time and really truly figure out where are you, where's your company going?
Love that. That is great expert authority effect insight. Robert, you're sharing so much good stuff right now. I have a couple questions before we thank our sponsor, and one of them is the Wheel of Whatever. Would you like yellow or black?
Black.
Excellent. Matches your shirt. All right. Got a great question for you right there. Okay. Wheel of Whatever question for you, Robert. Where would you like to travel to that you haven't been yet, and who would you take with you?
That's an easy one. I've been to 30 countries. The next one on my list, I want to go to Nepal, and I want to take my wife. Great travel partner, hasn't done a great deal of traveling. So yeah, Nepal.
Excellent. Great answer. Great answer. We're going to thank our sponsor and come back for the imperfect action round. You're already the expert, but have you transformed your expertise into a tangible asset that will generate and qualify leads while increasing profit for you 24/7? And if so, how well are you promoting it? With the Expert Authority Effect publishing method, it's easier and faster than ever. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com today to learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit-generating business book in 8 weeks. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com to get started now. Once again, that's freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com. And we are back with the imperfect action round. Robert, are you ready to take imperfect action?
Absolutely.
I've got 3 questions for you, 60-second or less answers. The first one is, what is the fastest path to the profits?
Fastest path to the profits is to start with the profits. So when you're doing your budgeting, put in what you want, and that should be a minimum 10%, then work backwards.
Can you expand on that? I'm going to throw an audible here. I don't want this to be 60 seconds. Tell us more.
So yeah, a lot of people start off with the top, the revenue, they put in all the costs, and then they end up at the bottom saying, oh, I've only got 1 or 2% profit. I'm saying build your budget so that you have a minimum 10% profit and then work upwards.
So
and look at your costs. So profit first.
I love
Very simple.
Thank you for expanding on it.
Okay, you're welcome.
I'll have to take it up with the host for the extra time. Number 2, what is the biggest problem you see your prospects making and the fastest way for them to fix it?
It's around not having the right people on the bus. Make sure that you choose carefully, and if they're not the fit, if you're not able to answer the question, would you enthusiastically rehire a certain person with the yes, then you should probably think about replacing them.
Okay. Fair enough. Number 3, what is the best way to maximize customer lifetime value?
Ask your customers. There's so many clients when I go into strategic planning, I say, well, let's start getting some surveys from your clients. Let's start taking surveys from your employees. And I get that bewildered look on their face. Always ask your clients, whether it be weekly, monthly, how are we doing? How can we improve? Talk to your clients. Find out what's changing in their world. It's all very well staying in your world, but what's going on in their world? What are some of the changes they're facing?
Excellent. Thank you for that. With everything I do with publishing, it's always fun to hear what books have impacted your life and business. For you, what would you say they are?
Oh, I've got so many books there. Who Not How, Dan Sullivan is a really good book. And I think he came out with a recent one, something around the gain or gap,
Gap in the Gain?
gap in the gain. That's another
I
good
actually
one. And
had Ben
then,
Hardy on the show.
oh, okay. Very, very cool. The Jacko Willink book. I've forgotten the name of it off the top of my
Extreme
head.
Ownership.
Extreme Ownership, again, great book. Those are the ones that really spring to my mind. But I'm trying to read a book every single week, just to, again, if I can take 2 or 3 nuggets from a book, then that's going to push me forward in my life and be able to share that with other clients.
I'm going to throw in something new. Audiobook or book? What's your reading preference?
Most of the time it's audio because I'm usually doing it while I'm working out. But in terms of if I'm looking to highlight stuff or look at some of the exercises, and then I'll usually grab a copy, a hard copy as well.
Excellent. Excellent. Where would you like people to learn more?
They certainly LinkedIn, through my name in LinkedIn, my website, the radixgroupllc.com. But they can grab a copy of my book on Amazon, The Ironman Mindset for Entrepreneurs. These are all 3 great places. And if people would just want to reach out and chat to me, learn some more about my business or my coaching I do, then happy to take calls, emails. So
excellent. Robert Klinkenbeard, everybody. Thank you so much, Robert.
Thank you, Mario. Really appreciate your time today.
All right, Expert Authority World, we have another great episode here today. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day, and God bless.